hot fun in the summertime. The boys of summer, under the boardwalk, summer nights, suddenly last summer, love is like a heat wave. The list of songs about the summer is endless. And why not? Warm weather, the beach, vacation, what's not to like? At odds with the carefree days of summer are the scriptural readings the Jewish people are confronted with over those same summer months. Nothing carefree for us. Certainly no memorable summer song. As usual, we are making our way through the book of Deuteronomy, a review of the bad, the good, and everything in between. In fact, this week's portion, Eikev, once again reminds us of the perils of turning away from God. As if it were not enough, the 10 weeks prior to the High Holy Days are marked by special Haftorah portions. The first 3, leading up to Tisha B'Av, are known as the Haftorot of admonition. The prophetic passages include warnings about the consequences of disobeying God's word. Tisha B'Av, which we observed a couple of weeks ago, represents a low point in our relationship with God, almost to the point of breaking. We now engage in rebuilding that relationship. And so, for the 7 weeks leading up to the high holidays, we are offered the Sheva Dinachamta, the 7 Haftarot of consolation. Unlike the rest of the year, these are not necessarily related to the week's portion. All 7 of the Haftarot come from the prophet Isaiah, or more accurately, Deutero-Isaiah, or the second Isaiah. Biblical scholars have pointed out that the first 40 chapters has one author, and the second half of the book, another author. This is so clear that even the medieval commentator Abraham ibn Ezra noted that chapters 40 and beyond were obviously written 200 years later than chapter 1. These Haftarot of consolation offer a vision of a world turned toward, not away from God, and of a people restored to its land. But biblical consolation does not offer comfort in the way we might like it. We will get hope, but it will not be wrapped in a blanket. Rather, the prophet reminds us that we are all mortal. A cloud passing by, a particle of dust floating on the wind, a dream soon forgotten. The work of our hands is but temporary, and to put our faith in our own designs is foolish. It is our faith in God's immeasurable power and wisdom that will be our sources of comfort. We must seek our comfort in what is eternal, not temporal. While some are spending their summers by the water relaxing, the prophet is calling us. We commonly think, as Cantor Goldman alluded to just earlier, of the 4 weeks preceding Rosh Hashanah, the month of Elul, as the time of preparation for the High Holy Days. We might use that time to take stock of the past year. Where did we miss the mark? Where did we excel? Who might we have hurt? And how can we make amends? We might listen for the daily blast of the shofar during Elul, startling us from our slumber of complacency. We might read Psalm 27. The Lord is the stronghold of my life. Of whom shall I dread? But Isaiah is whispering in our ear, 4 weeks will not be enough time. You may think it is, but it is not, cautions Isaiah. Start preparing now. This week's Haftorah begins. Zion says, "The Eternal has forsaken me, my sovereign has forgotten me." We are Zion. That may be where some of us are right now, feeling forsaken and forgotten. We may be wondering, where is God in this world, let alone in our own lives? We have lived through a collective trauma unlike anything most of us could have imagined. Standing before God this year will be no easy task. This will take work, and Isaiah bids us not to wait. Week after week, Isaiah will remind us that we will not find God in possessions or fame or power. Listen to the words of the prophet in this week's Haftorah. Who among you reveres the Eternal and respects the words of God's servant? Who walks in darkness though he has no light? Who trusts in the Eternal and leans upon God? Listen to me, all you who pursue justice, all who seek the Eternal. Look to the rock from which you were hewn, the quarry from which you were cut. Look back to Abraham your father and to Sarah who bore you. When I called him, he was alone, but I blessed him and made him many. Just so the Eternal will comfort Zion, comforting all her ruins. Make her wilderness like Eden, her desert like the Eternal's garden, where joy and gladness are found, thanksgiving and strains of song. It turns out there is a song for our summer months, a song of comfort. Nachamu, Nachamu Ami, Emanu-El Eikev. Comfort, oh, comfort my people, says your God.
Nachamu, Ani Omar Elohechem. Nachamu, Ani Omar Elohechem. Comfort us in our wilderness. Comfort us as we struggle to take care of one another. Comfort us in our wilderness. Comfort us as we struggle with this world. Nachamu, Ami Omar Elohechem. Nachamu, Ami Omar Elohechem.
May we all find the source of comfort.